American politics, boy, has that been turned on its head and then turned over again. The current president will no longer be the president. He's standing down. The vice president has put her hand up and wants to be the president. And then you've got the former president who wants to be the president again, almost assassinated. And so what do the polls say? It's a lot of movement for 1 week or 2 weeks of American politics. The most fascinating time. So Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris, 2024. And if you look at the polls, and I'm trying to get the very latest ones, if you have a look around, they are moving around a bit, but she's put in a really good showing. The New York Times Senate poll of 1,100 voters conducted July 22 to 24 shows Trump up by 1 point, 48 to 47. And Harris is making a dent in Trump's lead over Biden, who trailed Trump by 6 points in the group's early July survey. Harris and Trump are tied at 42% among registered voters in a six-way matchup with third-party candidates, and Democrats are far more enthusiastic about her than they were about Biden. So where does this leave us all, and what do some of the other polls show? Well, 4 other polls show Trump winning, and all the other polls show that Harris outperforms Biden. So where does it leave us? It is a good discussion, and it's a fascinating race for the White House in the next 6 months. Professor Shawn Easley is in America and is with us now. Shawn, I really appreciate your time. Good morning.
It's great to talk to you, Duncan.
Where are we at? How do we sum up the polls? How do we sum up the head-to-head, Trump versus Kamala Harris? What does it look like?
Yeah, I heard your rundown, and the same numbers I'm looking at, but I think we all need to take a breath. And as even the New York Times Senate poll said, when the dust settles, a very important qualifier there, we'll have a much better look at what's going on. Some traditional things, typically a party coming off a convention has a bump. A candidate that's been nearly assassinated has an enormous advantage in terms of a sympathy vote. And I'm sure those things would have accrued to the Republicans had this not been this earth-shattering change in the last, 3 days with Biden stepping down and this just unbelievable meteoric rise of Vice President Harris, whom I don't think anyone expected to have this degree of success in this short time span. She's just really somehow or another really brought people together. It's been quite remarkable to witness. So we'll wait and see. I think more realistically, a couple weeks or so, I think then we're going to really know where the race stands. But right now, it's still too early to tell.
Yeah, no, and I think you did right about that, because polls, snap polls and polls in the wake of something big happening or a number of things big happening, you have to let them just get to a point where they're consistent and the dust, as you say, has settled. When saying that though, Kamala Harris, from where we said, I haven't seen a huge amount of her, but I have in the last 48 hours, and she is. She's a pretty impressive performer, although the Democrats would have known this, of course. The world's seeing her for the first time, really, on the stage, and boy, she's been pretty good. Does this surprise you?
Sure, and in fact, really, us here in the States haven't seen much of her either. So you're getting the first look pretty much as we are. I know she's been around for a while. She's very high profile in California, where she's from, where she was the former Attorney General, and then of course a senator from California. But the vice presidency is where you consign someone to oblivion, and that's kind of been her case. Most of the press about her over the last couple of years has actually not been particularly flattering. But I agree, something's happened. She's serious. She's really on point, really on message, incredibly disciplined. And most importantly, singly most important factor, of course, is that she has virtually eliminated the enthusiasm gap between the Republicans and the Democrats. The Democrats were so downhearted and basically consigned the election to Donald Trump until this radical turnaround in the last few days. And now I honestly believe most Democrats think they have a better than decent shot at overtaking him. And they might very well have that. She's just been magnanimous and a really terrific performer. I agree with you. She's just been spot on.
She seized her moment, hasn't she? I mean, and sometimes in life, the moment comes along. There's a moment that comes along, and you either you sink or swim, or you flight or you fight, and you stay in the fight. And Harris has clearly, gone home at night, put her head on the pillow, and said, I'm in, and this is me. And she's taken the opportunity because, you can get people that stumble, you can get people that in the moment, the heat of the moment, the world's looking, they fumble and they fall. She's chosen to fight and be in the race, and boy, she's thrown herself at it pretty impressively.
I agree, and she also has some other landscape factors working for her. Just the change election thing has been a huge theme in America throughout many presidential campaigns and cycles. And I can't think of any time, literally, in the course of the time I've been studying this, and I've been studying this for a long time, where the appetite for change is not greater. And especially, I think that appetite has been, really keyed up on the dismal prospects of a repeat of the 2020 election. Americans were just so anxious to have a change on either side. Of course, they nominated both of their presumptive candidates I think, in a state of doldrum and haze. What she has done, what it has done, is given them a true change candidate. And I just think it'd be crazy to vote against change right now in America. There seems to be an incredible appetite for it. And you're right. She has just been pitch perfect in stepping up and stepping into that slot.
Do people change their minds late in the piece in America? I mean, with having her now in the mix, do Republicans suddenly become Democrats, and do Democrats suddenly become Republicans, or are you a diehard in America, and the only thing that can really happen is it can affect turnout? So her arrival on the scene might force the Democrats to think, hang on, we've got a chance here, let's go to the polls. So they go and vote when perhaps under Biden they may not have. So she could be an instigator of motivated, she could motivate voters to get to the polls. Is that more likely, or do people change their votes and change the parties that they support?
We have an actual expression for that, and it's called twofold, two steps. It's called a cross-cutting issue and then a realigning election. And cross-cutting issues, by definition, are ones that literally cut across the country. They're so deep and profound that they literally force people into one camp or another. The most classic examples, of course, would be the Civil War and the New Deal in 1932, so on and so forth. So the big cross-cutting issue potentially, of course, is abortion here. And it could actually be that thing that allows or essentially facilitates that change of party affiliation. Most importantly, though, I think what she has going for her is, again, exciting a base that was so defeated and so depressed about their prospects. And it is certainly true that there are a lot of people that were not happy with Trump, but were going to vote for him anyway. I have some friends that were diehard Nikki Haley fans, and they claim that if she had been the nominee, they would have definitely voted Republican. But now the two-step thing that she did not win the Republican nominee, and Kamala Harris appears on track to win the Democratic one, they have flipped over. I've talked to several people that have said, no, I'm going to vote for her, somewhat driven by the issue and somewhat driven by the excitement that she generated. Of course, the bases still stay the same. You're right about that. There's not the majority of Americans that change. But when you're talking about an election that's going to be decided within a 5-point margin, any change is extraordinarily important.